we have a message from the Premier of Nova Scotia, Tim Houston.
Thank you, Lita. And also thank you to Senator Bernard for your very powerful remarks. The Premier could not be with us here in person today, but he has sent his greetings to us in a video, and we will play that for you now.
Hey folks, Premier Tim Houston here. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Rebuilding Hope Conference. Hello to everyone attending at NSCC campuses in HRM, Bridgewater, Truro, and Sydney, and hello to all the people joining online. I believe there are close to 1,200 participants today. What a terrific reflection of the commitment and passion of the disability community in Nova Scotia. This conference is intended to represent a new beginning for persons with disabilities and their families. As part of that new beginning, I would like to offer an unreserved apology for the historic systemic discrimination that persons with disabilities have experienced in Nova Scotia. For decades, people living with disabilities in our province have not been afforded the right to choose where they live, who they live with, and how they are supported. They have long been denied the choice that exists for other Nova Scotians. Their basic human rights have not been honored nor respected. Over the past several years, I have heard many painful stories. Stories of how Miss Livingston, Miss McLean, and Mr. Delaney were living for years in a locked ward in Emerald Hall. Stories of young people with disabilities who need medical supports, living in seniors facilities instead of being in community with people their own age. Stories of people living with disabilities being forced to live in locations far away from their home community, their family, and their friends. Stories of people being refused access to programs and services they are entitled to, and instead being placed on a wait list. It is how we collectively treat our most vulnerable citizens that defines us as a society. In particular, vulnerable people rely on their government to level the playing field, and we have failed Nova Scotians living with disabilities in this regard. What has happened is deeply shameful. It is wrong. It is not what Nova Scotia stands for, and I am sorry. On behalf of my ministers, my caucus, our government, we are sorry, and we are accountable. In Nova Scotia, we strive to be a province that embraces diversity to its fullest. We want to create communities where everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. We want everyone to have a choice and equal opportunity to participate and to find success. To do this, we need to make significant changes across the provincial government, changes which follow the direction of the human rights remedy. I commit to you today that we will do this. We're making all of these changes and more. We will empower people living with disabilities to make their own decisions about the supports they need for personal and professional fulfillment, and will provide them with the individualized funding to do this. We will close institutions for persons with disabilities. We will create new and better community-based supports and services. We will build regional hubs that include clinical and mental health supports. And we will strengthen the capacity of the disability support system as a whole. As part of all of this, we'll have some new exciting initiatives to share very soon. Today is the day to start rebuilding hope. Today is the start of new conversations about the way forward. And working together, we will reshape what it means to have a good life in Nova Scotia for persons with disabilities and their families. In closing, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the staff and volunteers who put so much work into planning today's conference. And I'd also like to recognize the families, community members, and service providers who love and support those living with disabilities. Your presence here today speaks volumes about your commitment to the work of the remedy and changes to come. And most importantly, I want to thank all of the First Voice participants today and all of those in Nova Scotia who live with a disability for your amazing contributions to our communities and to our province as a whole. I hope you enjoy the conference, and I encourage you to ask questions, actively participate, and share your thoughts and ideas on how we can build a better, more inclusive and diverse Nova Scotia. Thank you.
I'd just like to take a quick moment to reflect on the Premier's message. That apology is historic, and I think recognizing the wrongdoing and the harm, institutionalization, and the treatment of people with disabilities is an extraordinary way of starting our conversations today. I know that an apology like this can be very emotional and very overwhelming. There are Kleenex in places, but I do want to pause for a moment to reflect on the profound experience of that message and just how I think straightforward he was in acknowledging that harm, and just a thank you to that recognition.
And it also, pick us up too, because some of us, we had lived in institution and that. And you know what? I'm out in the community now, and I'm fighting for my brother.
Yeah. And both Senator Bernard and Premier Houston recognize we stand on the shoulders of those who have come before us, and we value the leadership that Lita and others are bringing forward across the province to make these changes a reality. And this is a new conversation. It is a new day, and I hope we are all energized and excited to be here. So thank you to the Premier,